G'day everyone, Rach here from Book Piles. Welcome to a video where I'm going to talk about some series. Either series I'm in the middle of, a series that I have yet to start, and some ones that I have actually finished, primarily around this year. But I thought, because I'm primarily reading, I think we might say primarily a lot, reading romance quite a bit, I thought I would throw in some, they are basically historicals, maybe one contemporary, some historical fiction and contemporary fiction series that I have read, although two I haven't read yet. So just to broaden the scope than just straight out romance. The other thing that I haven't got is any historical romances, because I haven't really read anything. I certainly haven't read any historical romance series this year. I've read a couple of books that could be the start of series, but I haven't really decided whether I'm going to carry on, so I haven't covered that. I've got a lot of physical books to hold up, and I have got some Kindle books which I'll stick the cover of the first book of the series I will put up on the screen when I come to it. So I don't know how long this will take. I should probably set an alarm in case I waffle too long and the camera decides to shut off, which it's prone to do. So we'll just have that on and we'll see how we go. So and the other thing is, hello to new subscribers. Thank you for following along. I just share my reading with you all, which is at the moment primarily romance, but I do throw a few other things in now and again, and I'm doing the kind of version of the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. So a couple of these books that I'm going to show you are towards those prompts as well. So let's do the, where am I going to put these books? I'll do my best to not knock the camera over. I'm going to do the historical fictions first, although one is a contemporary. So we'll save those till last. So probably the last historical, no, this is, I keep thinking, it's a dual timeline. So this is The Seven Sisters by Lucinda Riley, and the last book of the series, which was the 8th book. I can't count because there's a stack of books in the way. That stack of books is in the way. I do believe it is an 8-book series. It's The Seven Sisters plus the father. So this is a dual timeline. So you've got a contemporary timeline and you've got a historical timeline. And I thoroughly enjoyed this series. It's based around a gentleman who adopts 6 daughters and raises them as his own, and when he dies he leaves them coordinates to where he found them. Then the 7th book is about the sister, because it's based on a, it doesn't say on the back, the Seven Sisters is a constellation, a star thingamajiggy, and it's got a Greek name and all of that. Pleiades? I don't know, because I don't know that sort of thing. So there was a 7th sister. So the 7th book is about the missing sister. And then the 8th book is about the father and how, and it ties up all of these together. And it was, I cried in this 8th book when it was tying everything up and how he came to find all of these girls and things like that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like Lucinda Riley's writing. Sadly, she is no longer with us. But her son is putting out some of her earlier content. I think he's maybe updating it or re-editing it and things like that. So there is a new Lucinda Riley stroke Harry Whitaker, I think is his name. I can't see it on any of the books. There's one coming out later this year. So that's kind of dual timeline, contemporary, historical. Everything else now is historical. So this is a New Zealand author, Deborah Callanor, and this is the Convict Girls. Does it have a name? I didn't write that down. I'm sure it's something like the Convent Girls or Convict Girls, because they are all sent from London to Sydney in the turn of, or at the beginning of Sydney, basically. And it's a 4-book series, and it just goes through the 4 women's life and the twists and turns. And I really, and again, really enjoyed these and held on to them because I feel like I would read them again at some point in my retirement, is my thought. So really good historical fiction about the beginnings of Sydney in Australia, written by a Kiwi. To go along with that, I do have another one of her series. Did I not write this down? I thought I did, because this had a name as well. I tried to do some homework, but no. Okay. See, it doesn't even say the name of the series, so I'm afraid I can't tell you the name of the series. This is book 1. I actually brought and read book 3 in the series before I knew it was part of a series, so I eventually acquired the other 4 books in the series, but I have yet to read it. And I think it's something, part 1 of the best-selling saga of love and adventure on the high seas in the Pacific in the 1800s. So yeah, at some point I will get to that. Careful of the thing. Some of these books will have featured on my channel if you've been an OG subscriber for a long time. I did read a lot of these books a few years ago. So this is The Six Tudor Queens by Alison Weir, and it's a kind of fictional... It's fiction based on fact, so I think she's done a lot of research to find out about each queen, and I thoroughly enjoyed how she portrayed each of them. They are chunky books. I mean, this one comes in at almost 600 pages. So there is a book for each queen, and they were really enjoyable. I like Alison Weir's books. I have collected a few over time. I've read a couple more of them. There's one I've just seen in Carly the Pastel bookshelf, the little Welsh girl that I like. She just did a bookshop or book buying vlog in London, and she showed a wall and there was a new Alison Weir on there, so I screenshot it and have been looking into it. The other chunky historical fiction I've got, we're going all over the world here. This is Sarah Janati's Into the Wilderness. Now, I read this, when did this come out? I read this about 20 years ago. 1998. So I read book 1 and book 2, and then went away overseas and came back and found there were 4 more books which I have brought but never read because I feel like I need to start it again. And this is all at the December 1792, and this is all at the start of America. New England, I believe, if I remember rightly. It doesn't say exactly. On the edge of New York wilderness, there you go. So I like that kind of starting out a new place sort of thing. And the only other historical fiction series that I've got on my shelves at the moment is the Pillars of the Earth series. I've got all 3 books because I brought them at the same time so the series would match, because that's one of my pet peeves in life is a series that doesn't match. So I will go to the effort of buying the whole series if it's all out so that all the books match. So that is even set even further back. It's around, from what I know, 12th century England, and it's around, I believe, the building of a cathedral. But beyond that, so I guess it's the lives of the people, and all of those sorts of things. I don't know, but I like that kind of history in England anyway, so I felt like I would probably enjoy the book. Brought the series, have yet to read it. I guess I need to keep an eye on the font size for retirement in case I need a magnifying glass. Okay, so those are all the non-romance series, although there's a bit of romance in Into the Wilderness, there's a bit of romance in the Deborah Callanor Convict Girl series. What was the first one I picked up? It's at the bottom of the pile. Oh yeah, and the Lucinda Riley's. There's romance in the contemporary stream of those dual timeline books as well. Okay. Alright, so I've now got, I feel the need to have a cough, but we shall be alright. I've finished around about 4 or 5 series so far this year. A couple on the Kindle and some physical books. As you can see, I like physical books over anything else, but I'm quite happy now with the Kindle. For a long time I was very, didn't read a lot of it, but now it's fine. I'm quite happy with the Kindle. I've never listened to an audiobook yet, because I just don't think it would be, wouldn't enjoy it as much. So anyway, digressing. So yeah, finished about 4. So on the Kindle I have finished The Seattle Billionaires by Olivia Hale. I think I don't believe I've read an Olivia Hale prior to this year, and now I've read several of hers, and I had owned for a while on my Kindle. They're all on the Kindle. I don't own any physical books that I'm aware of. No, I don't, because my books are alphabetical, so yeah, so I own a lot of her books on the Kindle. I think probably picked up in stuff your Kindle type situations. So I have read this year The Seattle Billionaires, which is a 4-book series, as it sounds, about 4 billionaires in Seattle, and probably will have started book 1 because it was an Enemies to Lovers. That tends to be, unless I see a book coming through Instagram or BookTube a lot, an Enemies to Lovers is generally my gateway into a series, because it's my favourite trope. So I have just started her series called the Conovan. It's called the Conovan series. It must have another name or another word there. Maybe I've missed it out. I'll put it on the screen if it's different. So I've just read book 1 of that, and there are 2 more books to go in that series. So I think I've brought them. I don't know if my Kindle will fire up fast enough to be able to tell me that. And then I have got the first 2 books of another of her series called The New York Billionaires. So Billionaires and the Enemies to Lovers, if you can put them together, I quite like that. Yeah, my Kindle's not waking up in time. I'll correct the screen under the Conovan book 1 if I haven't got the series name right. Yeah, my Kindle's having a hissy fit, so I think it's getting a bit old and tired. Okay, what else have I finished this year? I finished the Rome, Kentucky series, so this is book 1, and this is about 4 siblings, a brother and his 3 sisters. This is the brother's book, set in a small town, and it was a lovely, delightful series. Books 2 and 4 were my favourites, but they were all fine. One moment. Okay, phone call. Restart the timer. Yes, so I was just talking about when in Rome. No, it is Rome, Kentucky, 4-book series. Another series I finished this year, which I wouldn't have even picked me reading these last year. So this is, I think it's Into Darkness, 3 books. I preferred book 3 was my favourite, Game On. I think that's the right name for it, yes. So these are a dark rom-com, and I think it's only because it had rom-com plus all the hype that got me reading. And I think I brought book 1 and I read it in a day, and then went on and brought the other 2 and eventually read them, I think, back to back. So another series that I have started and finished so far this year is The Lucky River Ranch by Jessica Peterson. It's a 5-book series, and book 3 was my favourite of the series, and I got into this because this is an enemies to lovers. It doesn't necessarily say it on the back. Oh, butting heads leads to knocking boots. I've just realised I've left the door open and we may have a cat issue. I'm going to be one of those booktubers where the cat interrupts. My problem is what's going to happen to the camera, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, she's decided otherwise. So this is a 5-book series. It's complete, and the heroine of book 5 is the sister of the brothers who are going to be a spin-off or new series for Jessica Peterson. I hope that makes sense. Goodness, I'm going to be shaking my head when I edit all these videos. So cowboy romance, low angst, a couple of tropes and a couple of books were not my favourite, which meant that the books weren't really my favourite, but I was surprised that the single parent trope, which is not high on my list of tropes, ended up being the book that was my favourite overall. So and I think that's all of the series that I have finished so far. Alright, we'll move on to noisy chair in the middle of, and then I need to move these to where I can reach them. Ooh. So on my Kindle I have a Juliet N. Banks series, The Black Hawk Security. So I started this series last year. I read 2 series of hers last year, which I enjoyed. They were a billionaire series, and then it was a billionaire series, and then it was a spin-off into another family that had married into the original family, if that makes sense. So I completed all those, and then I moved on to the Black Hawk Security series, which, as of researching this morning, is a 10-book series. I think I've read up to book 6, maybe book 7, I can't remember. There are still 2 books to be published, of which book 10 is a Christmas book. I did not realise. So, and I'm enjoying it. It has just a little bit of suspense, enough to raise the heart rate a little bit, but not scare me, because I'm a chicken on things like that. So I found it interesting that I'm okay with that, because probably if I had not read any of her books beforehand, I probably would have passed it over because of the suspense part of it. But it's going okay. I know to expect it now, and I know it's not in your face and gory and anything like that. So I will keep working away on that series. I've got of hers on the Kindle. I got the first book was probably in a stuff your Kindle thing for her Obsidian series, which is a billionaire series, and it's a 6-book series. So I've got book 1 of that, but I've not read it yet. I thought I would read the Black Hawk series, get the I like to buy, tangent, all of my series together if I can. I hate waiting for books, because especially if it's a year in between. So I think probably what I will do is wait for the Obsidian series to finish before I even begin it. Because I'm finding, and we'll get to that when I show you a couple of other books, like I feel like I'm going to have to go back and read some of them because I don't remember half of the stuff in the earlier books. So anyway, so that's a series I'm in the middle of on my Kindle, Black Hawk Security. I've just read a Roxy Noir book, again probably picked up on a Stuff Your Kindle Day, which ended up being the first book of a 5-part series called The Loveless Brothers, and it's a set of 5 brothers with the surname Loveless, I think, in a small town. And I really enjoyed book 1. I enjoyed the banter between the brothers when they were on page. So I actually went and bought the other 4 books. So I've got those books to carry on with. And then the other series probably that's on my radar at the moment on my Kindle that I have yet to start is the Lovelight Farm series by B.K. Borison. I had completely forgotten that I already had books 1 to 3, so I went ahead and brought book 4 when I realised, because if you've watched my Hardest Reading Challenge videos, or video, I'm doing B.K. Borison read as part of that challenge, so I went ahead and got book 4, so I currently have all of her books that are published at the moment. So we'll move on to physical books again, and we'll carry on with B.K. Borison. Notes. Let's pull the sticky note off. So I have read book 1, and this is called Heartstrings, this series. It's a 3-book series. I've got book 2, which is in one of those piles. It's in that pile there, book 2, one of the blue spines. And book 3 is due in February next year, called Long Time Listener. So this was a 5-star read for me, and a discovery of an author that I think will be a favourite author for me. And kind of like, even though I've just said I like to read all my series together and quickly and all of that, I kind of don't want to rush here, because once the books come out, this one in February next year, when's the next one? So, yeah. Because I enjoyed that, I went on and actually read, and I've explained about this book in another video, went on and read that, because I don't normally read, this would be a paranormal, I guess. I don't normally read paranormal books, but again, I loved this book. So I understand it's only a 2-book series, and the second book, Grim Tidings, comes out in September this year. So I will no doubt read about it, because there's a little bit of hinting about that book in this book. And it's the only book I own with sprayed edges. Okay. So this is one of these books or series where it's about a year between books. So I've read book 1, I've read book 2, and I've got to wait until March next year for book 3. I think because they are chonky enough, there's enough to remember as Lucy explains everything, that I don't need to worry about how long it's been between books 1 and 2. But I enjoy Lucy's writing. I've loved both of these books, and I'm looking forward to the third Brothers book next year. This was the book or the series I'm thinking about around. I feel like I need to go back and read some of these, because by the time I read the next one, I do think the next one I have to read, I'm reading for the Hardest Reading Challenge. But it's like, are the main characters in that book, have they been mentioned before? Who are they? What are they related to? I don't remember, who these people are. So while I really like the series, and it's, again, another small town, the interactions with the people in the town, the regular residence is the word I'm thinking. I just, again, it's a long time between drinks, and also that I haven't read the book. So I've still got, well, I thought I had, I can't remember if I've brought the last one or not. I need to do some digging. I've certainly got 2 more that I need to read. I've read the first 3, and I've got the next 2, and I've discovered today, literally this morning, that there is a 7th book which is due in June of next year, called The Apple Pie Ice Cream Parlour. So I literally saw somebody's post on Instagram this morning, and it had that book with the due date on it. So I will keep going on that series. Shake the camera. I will keep going on that series, but it may be, unless I can find something else to fit the prompt that I was going to read the next book for. I can't remember what I was going to say. It's just gone out of my head. Yeah, I may just wait until I've got all the books, and then maybe even reread the first 3 and read the whole series together. We'll see. It depends on if I can get another book to fit the prompt for book 4 that I was going to use for Her Kid. This is a little spoiler. I have read this now, and I loved this book. And I love this so much that I actually had one of those moments where I'm sad that I will never read this again for the first time. So this is the Windy City series, Liz Tom Ford. Again, I'm using, let's get the light on her name. I'm using Liz Tom Ford as part of a challenge for Her Kid. So I needed to get, well, the prompt came in my prompt jar. So I read book 1, and it's unsatisfyingly 2 pages short of 600 pages. In my edition, 598. I'm like, come on, couldn't we have pushed it over 600? Anyway, thoroughly enjoyed it. Really looking forward to book 2. Really wanted to start book 2, but I'll talk about that whole thing in a different video. It's got nothing to do with series. It's more to do with Her Kid stuff. So, and the other series that I am working through is Game Changers. So this is obviously book 1. I'm on book 5, which I'm actually currently reading at the moment, and I'm reading book 5 for Her Kid as well. And it's a 7-book series. I have book 6, yep, and book 7 is due in June of next year, according to my information. And it's a hockey romance, male MM, you don't need to read my notes, an MM hockey romance series, and I'm really enjoying them. So, yeah. So that is that. Initially I had read it because I was going to watch the program, but the program isn't on a streaming service I have. So, okay, now let's try and get through this last pile. These are all the other ones that are on my radar. Probably a couple that I may not necessarily read this year. Some of them, a couple of them I think are to do with Her Kid, and then I just looked at my shelves and thought, what have I got for series? So we'll start with Anna Huang, King of Wrath. So this is the Kings of Sin series. It's 7 books. The 7th book is due out in April of next year. And I actually, when I was looking at my series and looking at everything like that, I'm like, I need K for my A to Z challenge. So this will get read. So I will be starting this series sometime soon. Where can I put this? I'd like this to be on my radar, but it probably isn't going to get started at the moment. It's Bootleg Springs, Lucy Score and Claire Kingsley. I own the first 3 books. I wasn't initially going to be buying this series. What's stuck inside there? Oh. An exchange thing from Amazon. It wasn't on my radar until I saw the covers, and then I'm like, I really want to buy this series, and I need to buy all the books so that the series matches. At the moment, I've got the first 3 books. I need to investigate the remaining 3 and get them on my shelves before the covers get changed, because obviously that is something that happens. It's a 6-book series, and they're all out at the moment. This is, I didn't realise I had an LJ Shen series. It's a 3-book series. What do I know about it? It's just called Cruel Castaways, and I would imagine that I probably got it because the first one is an Enemies to Lovers. I'm sure that's what it said on Amazon when I was looking up the information. So I've got the 3 books of the series, just haven't got to them yet. This series is Playing for Keeps, and again, I don't know if the whole series is a sports romance. This first book is definitely a sports romance. It's 5 books. I've got the first 2, and I got them because they were on the bookshelves of my bookshop, my local bookshop, and they had the first 2 books. So I just got them because beyond that I don't know anything about it, but I do find that they are often highlighted. Some books out of the series are often highlighted in people's favourites posts when they're making their Instagram posts. So eventually I guess I will look at getting the other 3 books, but then we're going to have the series probably doesn't match. I should look into that. Rosa Lucas is an author that I discovered last year, and I read her Billionaires in Charge is the series I read last year, set in New York. A 3-book series with, again, Enemies to Lovers, Billionaires, my favourite thing. This series is called Billionaire Brits. I don't know where it's set. If it's set in London, potentially. So I've got the 3 books. You can see the other 2 of that same blue colour at the bottom of that pile right there. I've got the whole series. I'm always a bit cautious about reading books set in London because I lived in London a long time, and okay, I need to pause for a moment. I will come back to you. Okay, apologies for that. The nurse visited. Hopefully I'll have said enough about this, because I think that's what I was talking about before she arrived. So let's get the last few books done, and then I can move on to the next video. Okay, so the next series I've got on my radar, again, book 1 for Her Kid, because I need an animal on the cover. So this is The McBrides of Montana. And I can't decide if this is historical romance or not. I looked it up. I don't know if you scroll down enough on a book's page on Amazon, it will give you the top 3 categories it's in. And a lot of them were Western romances, but it then did say historical romance. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it's truly historical or not. So I will find out when I get to it. But I have the 3 books in the series, and I will be reading that particular one for Her Kid when the prompt gets pulled. The next 2 books were books I picked up because I was aware of them, and I was again in a local bookstore, and I think with the invention, and it's probably more BookTok than Bookstagram and BookTube, we suddenly now have a romance section in the bookstores that I frequent. Voice has gone funny. And so I was perusing and I saw these two books. Sorry. And they were both on my radar, so I picked up the first of each of the books in that series. So the first one is Lila Sage, Done and Dusted, and this is the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and it's a 4-book series. So cowboy romance. I think this is A Brother's Best Friend, the first book, judging by the blurb on the back. So I don't own any more than the first book at this point in time, but probably when I'm ready to buy some more books locally, I will look at finishing off that series. We're going to be interrupted again. Okay, another moment please. Okay, during that interruption, the third interruption happened, so that was good. We can get this pile finished, which has literally got 2 more books. So I was talking about Done and Dusted being a book I had found at the bookstore here. This was the other book that they had on the shelves. So this is the DC Stars series. I've not read any of her work before. I don't know if I've read any Lila Sage. So this is a 7-book series, and from my investigations, there are still 2 books to be published, so there are 5 books out currently, and I'm pretty sure most of them were on the bookshelf at the bookstore, so I should probably check that out so the series matches. And I did make a note on my sticky. The 7th book is due out in November. The 6th book is due out in August. The 7th is November, and I need, for a Her Kid prompt, a book that I buy in November. But I don't think I'll be reading 6 books in this series before then. So I don't know if that's what I will do, whether they can be read enough as a standalone that it wouldn't matter if I read book 7 first. I don't know. Anyway, so that was again picked up off the bookshelves here. I'm trying to, where possible, buy them from the bookstore here. So, oh dear. So that the bookstores know to keep stocking romance books. And actually, the last book, oh dear, poor me. Let's just get through this. Just want to cough. So again, this was found, both of the Anna Huang books, so this is the other one I've got, both of these were again on the bookshelves here at the bookstore. So I just brought books 1 in both of those 2 series. So this is the Twisted series, and it's a 4-book series. I don't know what it's about. I just got it. It was on the bookshelves. It's been, all over all the book socials over the last couple of years. So we will see. I don't have any plans at the moment to read it, but it is there if I want to start it. So hopefully this video makes sense enough with all the interruptions. A look at some series I've read, the series I'm in the middle of, and some on my radar, plus some honourable mentions in the historical fiction realm that I showed you at the top of the video. Any views on any of the series? Is there anything that I am reading or on my radar that I should get to? Actually, let's go with on the radar. Is there anything in my pile of on the radar, which are all the books from the King of Wrath to the end, King of Wrath to the end, that I should get to quickly, I think is the phrase. So anyway, thanks for watching. I will catch you again in another video very soon. Bye for now.